Close your eyes for a second and picture the smartest person you've ever met. Got them? Now, are they confident, polished, put together? Do they walk into rooms like they own them? Because here's what nobody tells you. The people who score in the absolute top tier of cognitive testing are often a mess, a brilliant, fascinating, deeply human mess. They're awake at 3 a.m. for no reason. They lose their keys constantly. They talk to themselves out loud in public and pretend they're on a call. And most of them, despite being exceptionally gifted, secretly believe they're not good enough. If any of that already sounds uncomfortably familiar, stay with me. Because today we're pulling back the curtain on 7 hidden psychological traits that show up again and again in people with unusually high intelligence. And by the end of this video, you might understand your own mind in a way you never have before. Welcome to Hidden Psychology.
Trait 1. The genius who thinks they're a fraud. Let's start with the one that surprises people the most. The single most consistent psychological pattern in high IQ individuals is chronic self-doubt. Not the performative kind where someone fishes for compliments. Genuine, deep-rooted doubt. These people structurally believe they are less capable than they actually are. And there's a fascinating reason for this. The more deeply someone understands a subject, the more clearly they can see everything they don't know yet. A person with surface-level knowledge feels surprisingly confident because they can't see the gaps. But someone with genuine expertise, they see every crack, every limitation, every place where their understanding falls short. So the most qualified person in the room is often the most convinced they don't belong there. There's even a name for this, impostor syndrome, but in high IQ individuals, it runs deeper than most people realize. Their cognitive machinery is powerful enough to build an incredibly detailed, incredibly convincing internal case for why they're not good enough. The same brain that makes them exceptional at reasoning becomes exceptional at self-criticism. It's almost poetic and almost cruel.
Here's one that will make a lot of you feel seen. People with higher measured intelligence are significantly more likely to be night owls, and research suggests this isn't just a preference. It appears to be neurological. Studies in the field of personality and individual differences have found that higher IQ individuals consistently go to bed later and wake up later than average, even when you account for work schedules and lifestyle choices. One compelling explanation: the ability to override your natural body clock for self-chosen abstract reasons like reading, thinking, creating, or just existing quietly without anyone needing anything from you is a cognitively complex behavior, and it appears more frequently in people with higher general intelligence. The real-world consequence of this? A significant number of very smart people are chronically underslept, mildly dysregulated, and navigating a world that was designed around a morning schedule their biology will never naturally align with. It gets mistaken for laziness. It's not. Their hardware just runs on a different clock.
Like and subscribe. If this is already hitting close to home, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to Hidden Psychology. We publish new videos on human behavior and the mind every week. Now, back to the traits.
Trait 3. They talk to themselves. Out loud, more than they would ever willingly admit at a dinner party. And this one has real science behind it. Researchers call it private speech, self-directed verbal thought, and it's well documented as a tool for cognitive self-regulation. Saying something out loud genuinely helps the brain process it differently than simply thinking it internally. Language externalizes thought and makes it easier to examine, organize, and work through. What we see in high IQ individuals is a strong tendency to use language as a tool for thinking, not just for communicating. So when there's no one to talk to, the conversation still serves a purpose, and they have it anyway. The side effect? Getting caught mid-monologue in a grocery store aisle and having to very smoothly pretend they were on a Bluetooth call. We've all been there, or some of us have. Trait 4. This one doesn't get talked about enough.
People with very high IQs are significantly more prone to anxiety and rumination than the general population. Research linking high verbal intelligence to elevated worry levels points to a striking explanation. The same brain that excels at analytical prediction is also extremely good at imagining everything that could go wrong. Think about what your brain actually does. At its core, it's a threat detection and prediction machine. A more powerful version of that machine doesn't mean a calmer machine. Sometimes it means a faster, more thorough one that can generate 47 possible disaster scenarios before you've even gotten out of bed in the morning. High IQ minds are often running mental simulations constantly, playing out outcomes, stress testing plans, and anticipating problems before they exist. This is enormously useful. It is also exhausting. And at 3 a.m., when there's nothing to actually solve, those simulations don't just switch off. Trait 5. They lose everything. Mundane, ordinary, embarrassing things. Where did they put their phone? Did they reply to that email? What's the name of the person they've met 3 times at this point? The people around them find this infuriating. They find it equally infuriating. The most logical explanation here is one of cognitive prioritization. A mind deeply invested in abstract, complex thinking appears to allocate less processing attention to low-stakes, repetitive information. The keys will end up somewhere, so something else felt more important in the moment. It doesn't make it less frustrating, but it does explain why someone who can mentally hold a 15-step problem in their head sometimes cannot remember whether they turned the stove off. Trait 6. Here's one that might surprise you. High IQ individuals tend to have broader, more expressive vocabularies, including the parts of it that would make your grandmother deeply uncomfortable. Research published in Language Sciences found that people who are comfortable using taboo language actually score higher on verbal intelligence measures, not lower. The conclusion? People who swear fluently aren't doing so because they've run out of better words. They're doing so because they understand language well enough to know exactly which word fits the moment. And sometimes that word happens to have 4 letters. To a high IQ mind, words are instruments, and a skilled craftsperson uses whatever instrument the job requires. And finally, trait 7. And this one might be the most underappreciated of all. People with very high IQs are disproportionately likely to experience the world as overwhelming, too loud, too bright, too much. Research has found genuine associations between high cognitive ability and heightened sensory processing sensitivity. The brain that takes in more information analytically may also, quite literally, take in more raw sensory input than average. A crowded restaurant isn't just busy, it's genuinely disorienting. Certain sounds, textures, or lighting conditions don't fade into background noise, they register as intrusive. The same mental bandwidth that processes complexity deeply also processes the environment deeply. And the environment, if you haven't noticed, is a lot. This is why many high IQ individuals strongly prefer quiet, controlled, low stimulation spaces, not as a quirk or a preference, but because their nervous systems are genuinely operating under a heavier sensory load than the people around them typically realize. So here's what all 7 of these traits add up to. Not a superhero, not the confident genius from the movies, a person who is quietly exhausted by their own mind, gifted in ways that are real and sometimes extraordinary, and also anxious, scattered, sleep-deprived, occasionally caught talking to themselves in a parking garage, and genuinely startled by how loud that one restaurant was. If you recognize yourself in this, in the doubt, the sleepless nights, the emotional weight of a brain that simply will not stop running, that recognition matters. Not because being intelligent makes your struggles more important than anyone else's, but because so many people who fit this profile spend their entire lives being told they have every advantage in the world, while quietly wondering why it still feels so hard.
Now you know why. And knowing is the first step to working with your mind instead of against it. If this video connected with something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Hidden Psychology and hit the notification bell. Every week, we go deeper into the science of how the human
Some
mind
words
actually
are
works,
delicate.
not how we
Some
wish it
words
did.
are bold.
I'll see you in the
and
next
the right
one.
mind knows the difference.